Welcome back, everyone. Today, we've got a really fantastic, highly practical explainer lined up for you. We're going to break down the fascinating process of taking a standard, run-of-the-mill operational manual for a bar and transforming it into a seriously actionable, revenue-driving sales playbook. Whether you run a rooftop bar, a bustling restaurant, or honestly, even if you're just a huge nerd for the psychology of sales and service like we are, you are absolutely going to get a ton of value out of the strategies we're unpacking today. Okay, let's dive into this by asking a kind of counterintuitive question. Why on earth do bars and restaurants with incredibly high foot traffic, like massive demand, still struggle with their alcohol sales? Well, the answer actually comes to us from a famous Harvard Business School case study about a restaurant called Faux Hoa. This place had terribly weak alcohol sales. But the researchers didn't just throw their hands up and assume people didn't want to drink. Instead, they discovered a selling process problem. The servers literally just weren't proactively offering the drinks menu. It wasn't a lack of customer demand at all. It was entirely a process issue. So, in this explainer, we're going to use the Hansa bar strategy as our ultimate roadmap to solve this exact paradox. We'll quickly hit the selling process problem, explore the psychology behind pricing ladders, figure out how to transform your staff from passive order takers into active consultants, break down a really brilliant three-touch sales system, fix some back-end menu mechanics, and then wrap the whole thing up with a rapid 30-day implementation plan. All right, first up, Section 1, the selling process problem. When managers see a dip in beverage revenue, their absolute first instinct is usually to panic and start discounting drinks. But slashing prices is almost never the right move. Here is the core of that faux pas lesson. The fix wasn't about flashy marketing or cheap discounts. It was about making beverage selling a systematic, unskippable part of the normal food and beverage service sequence. You do not just stand around waiting for guests to ask. The Hansa Bar Playbook takes this and applies it directly. Instead of a server passively waiting for a guest to magically say, "Hey, can I get a whiskey?" the system itself actually triggers the team to actively present the option. You're basically engineering the environment so the offer is always made. Moving right along to Section 2, pricing ladders and anchors. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we actually go about structuring these offerings once we've decided to be proactive. Look at this incredible architecture right here. This is the whiskey price ladder. We start at the bottom with an entry-level product, something like Passport at 1,250 taka. Then we step it up to the premium level with Johnny Walker Black and Chivas 12, sitting around that 2,100 to 2,250 range. And finally, we hit the absolute top, the prestige level, with Chivas 18. This creates a really natural good, better, best psychology in the buyer's mind. Harvard Business School pricing research shows this structure lets your prices actually capture what the customer values rather than just acting as some arbitrary markup or a blind volume target. And look specifically at this massive number, 5,000 taka for the Chivas 18. This is what we call a prestige anchor. Now, the crazy part is the objective here isn't necessarily to sell boatloads of Chivas 18. Its mere presence on the menu at 5,000 taka acts as a premium reference point. Once a guest sees that giant 5,000 taka price tag, suddenly the 2,250 taka Chivas 12 looks like an absolute bargain. It makes that middle premium tier feel incredibly accessible. Which brings us to Section 3, turning order takers into consultants. Because let's be real, having a perfectly engineered menu is totally useless if your staff has no idea how to present it. The exact wording a server uses changes the whole game. A weak selling approach sounds kind of like this. Which whiskey would you like? The huge problem there is that you've just given your guest homework. Now they have to study the entire menu and make a complex choice. Contrast that with guided selling, delivered with some real enthusiasm. Would you prefer a smooth whiskey like Chivas 12 or something a bit more premium like Chivas 18? You see the difference there? You've totally removed the friction. The guest now has two clear, attractive, curated choices. You are acting as a consultant, not a human notepad. And a massive part of being a true consultant is food to alcohol cross-selling. The playbook argues that this is literally the highest potential opportunity for a rooftop restaurant environment. You don't just sell a drink, you sell the occasion. If a guest orders barbecue, the server immediately recommends a Chivas 12, or maybe a premium Hendrick's gin and tonic. If they order spicy food, boom, suggest a margarita. Seafood, a crisp Sauvignon Blanc. Dessert just begs for a sweet glass of Bailey's. You're pairing the whole experience, which actually feels genuinely helpful rather than just pushy.
And to execute this confidently, there is literally one sentence. the premium upgrade question that every single server absolutely must memorize. Would you like to upgrade to our premium selection? It is so simple, elegant, and incredibly effective. So if a guest orders an entry-level Absolute vodka, the server naturally asks, would you like to make that a premium vodka with Ciroc? It is a totally frictionless way to shift the guest right up that price ladder.
Okay, Section 4, the 3-touch sales system. To make sure these interactions actually happen every single time, Hansa uses a formal standard operating procedure. This completely replaces the incredibly vague, completely unhelpful manager instruction to just upsell more. We are leaving nothing to chance here. Touch 1 happens right at arrival. Before food is even mentioned, the server says, may I start you with a cocktail, wine, or whiskey? Touch 2 is during the food order. This is your pairing moment. For your barbecue, I'd highly recommend the Chivas 12. And touch 3 is mid-meal. This creates a second consumption opportunity. May I refresh your drink? Would you like to continue with the Chivas 12 or try our premium Chivas 18? It systematically and naturally guides the guests through an amazing premium experience. But we need to address Section 5, menu mechanics and metrics. So the crucial point is, absolutely none of this psychological selling wizardry works if your back-end foundation is completely broken. A beautifully designed price ladder is useless if the math is wrong. And the strategy document uncovered a major technical issue in the bar's menu. Look at the math on the Chivas 18. It comes in a 750 milliliter bottle. At 30 milliliters a peg, that is exactly 25 pegs. 25 pegs multiplied by the 5,000 taka price equals 125,000 taka per bottle. But the menu calculated it at 165,000 taka. It was incorrectly assuming a 1-liter bottle size. This kind of crazy discrepancy completely risks your inventory control, it throws off your billing, and worst of all, it damages guest confidence. By the way, this is exactly why wine servings, which are typically 150 milliliters, must be completely separated on the menu from 30 milliliter spirit pegs. Otherwise, it's just total confusion for everybody. Once that menu math is finally fixed, you have to start tracking the right metrics. The playbook aggressively shifts focus away from raw volume, which honestly just encourages staff to discount drinks to hit their numbers. Instead, we look at essential KPIs like alcohol revenue per guest and the premium mix percentage. Ensuring we are crystal clear on tracking that premium mix percentage is vital because it guarantees that your volume actually aligns with value. You want to know not just how many drinks were poured, but how effectively your staff actually moved guests up to those premium and hero brands. And why does tracking this matter so much? Look at this massive number, 300,000 taka. The playbook proves the incredible return on investment of this system with a really simple example. If a bar has just 20 alcohol-consuming guests a day, and this structured upselling system increases their average spend by a mere 500 taka each, well, that generates an additional 10,000 taka every single day. To put that into perspective, that translates to approximately 300,000 taka in pure extra revenue every single month, literally just from asking the right questions at the right time. All right, let's bring it all home with Section 6, the 30-day implementation plan. Let's move to the timeline and see how this actually builds. How do we make all of this a reality? Week 1 is all about fixing the foundation. You correct that messy menu math, you verify your bottle sizes, and you select your hero products to establish that good, better, best positioning. Week 2 is intensive team training on product knowledge, suggestive selling, and those awesome food pairings. Week 3 is launch day. The core rule goes live. 1 guest, 1 beverage recommendation. Every eligible guest gets at least 1 highly intelligent recommendation. And finally, week 4 is all about measuring those KPIs to see the revenue impact and figuring out which of your staff members are absolutely crushing it. It's just such an incredibly powerful system, and it brings us to this final, really provocative HBS-inspired mantra that I want to leave you with today. Design the service process so that the customer is naturally presented with relevant, valuable choices. It is not about being pushy. It is about being present and structured. So take a hard look at your own business today, whatever industry you're in. Are you just sitting back waiting for your customers to ask? Or have you actually designed a process that naturally, organically guides them to your absolute most valuable offerings? Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and we will catch you in the next one. Keep learning.